Hi everyone, this is Vix. Welcome to my live reaction of One Piece chapter 998. We had a break last week, and while it was really hard to hold off looking at spoilers or seeing the raw or the scans, I managed to do so I can go into this chapter unspoiled. Although I do hear it's supposed to be really cool. So, I have my notebook ready to take notes so I can talk about stuff afterwards that has struck my fancy and I can look up. And I have my chapter right here, so let's get into it. Chapter 998, Ancient Types. Are we going to learn, I guess we're going to learn more about the ancient zones. And the cover page is Reader Request, Eneru, kicking back and listening to music with a cat. That is a chunky cat. It's been a long time since we've seen Enel. I kind of semi-joked in, I think it was my last chapter review, about Kaido taking Onigashima into the atmosphere and bumping into Enel, but that would definitely mix things up. I also like that he's listening to music with a cat because Enel, or Eneru, I guess, is at least partially visually based on Eminem. But really cute. Let's go. I heard the next two chapters are going to have like combined color spread, and I figured chapter 1000 would get one. And I guess 999 would also rate one. So that's going to be cool to see. So let's go. Huh? Onigashima is flying. And it's not falling. Kaido can do that? So the pleasures look pretty freaked out. So I guess this is not common knowledge that he can do this. I guess it's not something Kaido would have cause to do often. But I do remember that Black Maria didn't really react to it very much. It was very blasé about it. And I did mention that I wonder if that's a sign that she's been part of Kaido's crew for a very long time. Doesn't react to the things he do because she's seen it before. It could also just be her personality type. She's someone who doesn't react. But also, is that Marco the Phoenix? What's he doing here? Whose side is he on? And Marco, I suppose, would be very well known. He was Kaido's second in command. He kind of led the scraps of the Whitebeard pirates after all. And I wonder what Marco's individual bounty is. Has that been revealed? Yeah, Chopper. Oh, Marco, why are you blasting Chopper with your flames? Cool panel though. Hi, Brook and Zoro are very angry. Although, thinking back, Marco's flames don't burn. Still, it would be pretty alarming to see because they don't know that. Oh, so Brook and Zoro are attacking, but it just looks like Marco flew right up. That would be a matchup interesting to see. I don't think Brook could take on Marco, although that could be interesting because a lot of Brook's attack have to do like the underworld and the afterlife. And, you know, he kind of has a motif of death, whereas Marco is a phoenix, and that's all about life and rebirth. How does it feel hot, huh? Strange, I'm burning, but I don't have any burns. The fire's at just the right temperature to hold back the viruses. Okay, so it doesn't look like Marco's flames are burning him, and they shouldn't. But it's like they're counteracting the Oni plague, which it does. I think Queen mentioned the way it works is it like zaps the body as it spreads, it zaps the body of strength by chilling it until the person basically kind of freezes and then it takes them over. Dr. Chopper! Oh, Bianchi, Tristan! Oh yeah, I remember these guys. But it's nice of Oda to just kind of provide answers. I like their design. I also like Tristan's name because if you remember, some of the members of the Minx had like a Arthurian vibe to them. Like a couple of them were called Musketeers, and just that kind of vibe. And Tristan was a member of King Arthur's Round Table, one of his knights. I almost said King Arthur's Pirates. That would be kind of a fun take. We're ready to produce more. Hurry, this way. We want to help. Great, I can actually focus on making medicine in the tower. Yeah, hey. So more Oni are attacking. Oh no, a pack of ice Oni. Run away, you two. They'll all need it one way or another. Marco again. Phoenix Pineapple? Oh, pineapple. Oda with your puns. I do. Really good panel of just Marco's flames. I wonder what that would look. That's going to look really cool in the anime. Pineapple. Yeah, that's because back in Zoe, Luffy can't remember who Marco is, even when he's told he's like, he was at Marineford, he was Whitebeard's second in command. Although, to Luffy's credit, he did go through one of the most traumatic experiences of his life, having his brother die in his arms. So I imagine his memory of that incident is something of a blur. But Robin jogs his memory by telling him that Marco looks like a pineapple. And that's kind of been a joke in the community for a long time. It burns! Huh? Actually, it's not that hot. Ah, I feel it melting away the chill. Where am I? Boss Omasa is conscious again. Oh, cool. Yeah, it burns! There, I've got their body heat back up, like you said. But if they run out of stamina, they'll turn right back into those monsters. Thanks. Are you all right, Miyagi? Okay, so it looks like Marco's flames can just kind of... They're not a cure, but they're buying time. I guess if the ice kind of represents death, then Marco's flames represent life, and they're kind of battling against each other. Queen. Marco, what does he think he's doing here? You stay out of this. Hey, steal back those antibodies. On the double. You know the enemy isn't going to bother saving you. Oh, you think so? Thank you. I can use this moment of respite to produce a bunch of antibodies. Again, that's not really how medicine works. But it is interesting. This is the second time in a very short amount of time that Marco has been implied to have a history with another Yonko commander. And again, that does make sense. The Yonko seem to have existed in a sort of uneasy, not alliance, but ceasefire. So it would only make sense that at times they did clash, or at least were in close vicinity, and the commanders would have interacted, or at least known of each other. And it's interesting here, Queen is telling the Pleasures that Chopper won't save them, but Chopper himself said they would, and he's a doctor, so he's duty-bound to help people. And I think once the enemies know that, he is going, and they experience Chopper saving them, it is going to sway the tide, or at least sway them to the Straw Hat Mink Pirate Alliance favor, whatever. Luffy's better at names than I am, clearly. Alright, I think I've got a handle on the situation here. Hey, Roanoa, I'll fly you up to the roof if you want. You guys aren't meant to be slumming against these no-names, huh? I almost feel like that's breaking the fourth wall. But we need to help Chopper. Don't worry, Skeleton. We'll keep your raccoon dog friend safe. Thanks, you guys. Okay, so a couple of fun things to note. So I guess Marco is taking them to roof, and it looks like Robin and Brooke are coming too. I don't see them making it all the way to the roof. I think they're better served elsewhere. Like maybe Robin could go up against Black Maria. I kind of really want to see her, you know how she can create those like flower clones of herself? And she can also create those giant limbs. I've thought for a long time that a really cool kind of upgrade to Robin would be creating giant versions of herself. And seeing as Black Maria is so huge, that could be a cool fight. And Brooke, I really want to see him go up against Apu. But we also know Big Mom is heading to the roof, and Brooks has proven that he can be pretty useful against Big Mom and her homies. I also kind of want to see her Brooke call Big Mom young lady again. I think if Brooke does that in front of Kaido, I think his reaction could be pretty funny. I also like that Hio calls Brooke Skeleton just probably because he has no other idea what to tell him, what to call him. And then, of course, Brooke being confused with a raccoon got a dog, a tanuki, is a very long-running gag, especially since Wano is based on Japan, and tanukis are native to Japan. It just makes sense. Wait, you're not going anywhere? Please, Pooh. Pooh has some pretty decent stamina. I mean, he's taken a bunch of hits and he keeps standing. Shut the door, give back those antibodies. My life is over if I don't get them back. He's a tough one. Brooke's pulling out his thing. Oh, I was just talking about this. But... chomp! Oh, there comes X-Drake to chomp down. No, for a second I thought X-Drake was going to bite him in half. That would be a little gruesome. But... Drake. So he's on the enemy side. Really good depiction of Drake. I like the foreshortening of his like hindquarters and tail just like going off into the background. This reminds me a lot of the scene in the Jurassic Park, the end of the first Jurassic Park, when the T-Rex comes and attacks the velociraptors. A lot of people are wondering why they haven't been a velociraptor or T-Rex zone, and I think I mentioned at one point that people always kind of expect those, but also they're not as popular in those specific dinosaurs are not as popular in Japan. Jurassic Park isn't as big of a thing there. If you're capable of seeing me as a true ally, then go ahead and leave this to me. Well, at least you've got a talent for picking the winning horse. I like this banter. It's very Sanji Zoro-esque, or it's actually a lot like some of the conversations I imagine Zoro had with Mihawk over those 2 years when Perona and Zoro were living together. I really wish we had seen more of that. I think it would be just like a perfect comedy situation. But there you have... So X-Drake is staying behind probably to help Chopper. Again, I wonder... I'd like to get more into like the pathos of X-Drake. He seems to be a genuinely decent person. And to have to do so much harm to others while serving Kaido probably wears on him. He also just apparently spits the poo out, so it looks like he could still get a fight with Brooke. 4th floor. Perhaps Sanji sensed a powerful foe, and keeping them down on the floor, and is keeping them down on the 3rd floor off our backs. Oh, okay. I've still got a lot to learn about color of observation hockey. Okay, I think that's a joke, but Sanji's specialty is color of observation hockey. It always has been. And he has shown to be specifically attuned to women. If you recall back in Punk Hazard, he sensed Toshigi's distress and was able to rush to the aid of Toshigi and her marines to fend off Virgo. I think that's one of the cooler uses of observation hockey. He also was both able to sense and then dodge Katakuri's jelly bean bullet. And we do know he's with Black Maria, and we can assume that she is a powerful foe. So this is a joke, I think, but also true. Seems the same is true for this floor. Oh, that's a cool design. Oda's silhouette fetish, once more. We'll need one of us to stay here. I'll make sure there's an opening. Keep going, Luffy. Oh no, Luffy's lost both of his chaperones now. We can only hope he doesn't get distracted. He should be really close to the top. Right? Right brain tower, central hallway. General Frankie, launcher. Alright, so back to Frankie and Sasaki. Again, I really like to push the theory that Sasaki is Kokoro's son. So the Shogun is just blasting away, and the forces, they look like they're taking a beating. And then there's Sasaki. That's enough, boys. Make way. Huh? Looks like charging. Ooh! We were right. Sasaki is in fact a Triceratops. I think the only other possibility was an Ankylosaurus. You know, the armored ones with like the big club tail. But Triceratopses have always been one of my favorites, so this is cool. I really like the design. I like how his hat grows. It's kind of similar how Drake usually wears his hat, even as a dinosaur. But he is a big boy. Master Sasaki, I've had enough of you. I try to say it tops. And like the men are cheering. Sasaki along with Who's Who, were implied to be some of the strongest Tobi-Roppo. So I think this is a good fight for Frankie. He's just big. Good design. Good design. Again, and it's funny, we have a dinosaur versus a cyborg, so the past versus the future. Get him for us. You can't do any damage now, robot. So you were a dinosaur. What else did you expect him to be, Brooke and Frankie? Give up. I'm the most powerful kind of animal that ever existed. Really? Because the dinosaurs we met back on Little Garden weren't that strong. I think the Straw Hats ate them. They should tell them that as a way to assert dominance. Okay, so it's also interesting that Sasaki is a herbivore. And I think Chopper mentions back in Enies Lobby that of the Zoans, like the kind of fruit they eat does affect into their nature. So carnivorous Zoans typically are a lot more bloodthirsty and ruthless, like Lucci. And so that doesn't necessarily have to mean anything, but Sasaki has been shown to be, well, obviously he's an enemy, but he does kind of come across as a decent guy. And, not overly antagonistic, despite the fact he is an antagonist. And again, that does possibly tie back to the idea that a lot of people have that he might switch sides once it's discovered that he is Kokoro's son, if he is. Because then he and Frankie would have a strong connection through Kokoro and Chimene, because Kokoro was very much the maternal figure in Frankie and Iceberg's life. Banquet Hall. Kaku was also a herbivore, and though he was one of the strongest antagonists, he was probably the least. He did show signs of not necessarily goodness, but kind of almost sadness that he couldn't do anything aside from the life of an assassin. Banquet Hall, 3rd floor. He's getting away. He's not. There's no escape. Ew, snake neck. Isn't this lady the same with the snake neck? Is like the same one who was like teaching the propaganda to the kids back in the capital, flower capital. Hey, wait for us. Don't run away. Not so fast. Why are you running? Oof, huh. So Sanji was able to get his legs free, and he does seem like he's trying to get out of there, which does make sense. I mean, he doesn't necessarily want to hurt women, but he still has places he needs to be. Oh! Big spider! Big spider! Burn Onigashima to the ground. It's all ruined. Burn it to the ground. I thought you said you loved me. Cool panel, though. There's a lot. Is this just me, or is there a lot of, like, full pages? So it looks like Black Maria's entire crew, or, like, group, has kind of a yokai themed. Okay, that's weird. So it looks like Black Maria's spider half has a face, but she also has a face. So is she a gifter? In which case she seems to be the most successful of the gifters. Oh, that's big. Oh, that's scary. I mean, it's kind of cute, but also no. No. That's interesting. There are spiders that have markings on their body that make them kind of look like faces or eyes or stuff, but aren't, to kind of ward off predators. Other bugs do this too, including those caterpillars that like Caterpie was based off of. I think they're swallowtail caterpillars, but I'm not sure. Ooh, I don't like spiders. I do want to learn more about this, though, because we've never seen a Zoan quite look like this. I wonder if she's like a special type Zoan, the way Katakuri was a special type Paramecia. Stay here forever, darling. I'll keep you as my pet. You know, without the spider half. Oh, Sanji doesn't like bugs. He doesn't like spiders. Back on Jaya, he was like freaked out by them. That would be funny. I wonder if that would be enough to cancel out like the beautiful woman half of Black Maria. Because otherwise, I think Sanji would be okay with that. Oof, but I've got to get out of here. Sanji does have, he still has his goals. He's still trying to get away. He still knows something's more important. No matter which way I look. But no matter which way I look, women! Women! Is this place heaven? Sanji, have you been watching Monster Moon? There must be something wrong with this guy. That's pretty funny, especially since a lot of these women, they're not exactly what you'd call beautiful. It really does make me wonder how Black Maria runs a successful brothel with these ladies. Although, you know, who knows? Maybe the people on Onigashima have very specific tastes. I wonder if, like, maybe Sanji's chivalry will win them over, and they'll be like his fangirls. That could be kind of cute and funny. Wait a minute, what double type was Black Maria? Oh, Topi Roppo, Black Maria, Spider Fruit, ancient type, Rose Miguel Gradivoli model? What the? 1 second. Okay, so a quick moment of Googling tells me that this is an ancient spider, and it's something called like a trap spider or trapdoor spider. And it's one of the ancient, oldest fossils. So what these spiders would do is they had like a little burrow, and they would leave like a piece of spider silk out, and when an animal walked by, they would like reel it in. So they waited for their prey to come to them, which does fit with Black Maria because they lured Sanji in. And just overall, Black Maria was not involved in the fighting. She kind of waited for an opponent to come to her. So that does fit. It was also teeny tiny, which, considering how big Black Maria is, I think is just kind of Oda brand silliness. I also wonder if he just Googled ancient spiders to come up with this, and then picked the one with the coolest sounding name. I definitely mispronounced that name, though. Oh! Tobi Roppo, Who's Who, Cat Fruit, Ancient Type, Saber-toothed Tiger model. So that, I think a lot of people got that, predicted that, but still, good prediction. I like that design. Who's Who is a chunky boy. Fluffy cat. I also like that he is somehow still smoking, even as a cat. But I like his design. I also like how he seems to have gathered just about every kind of cat-themed character type there is. So you have, like, you know, sexy cat girls. You have kind of an old cat lady. There's this one guy who kind of almost looks like he could be a mink, almost like Pedro. And then this one guy who I'm guessing are like pleasures or gifters. No, a gifter. Because he kind of looks like a very poor amalgamation of a lion and a man. Big Cat Cafe, 4th floor. You know, it's nice of Kaido to have renovated his house so that one of his employees can have a appropriately themed house for him and his crew. I wonder what level of employee you have to get to that. You know, file an official request through Al Wong. Well, great. Straw Hat's gone now, and he's sure to bother Kaido now. Would you stop picking on my subordinates? So it looks like Jinbei definitely has been wailing on a couple of them, while Who's Who's just laying there. Have a little pride for former warlord of the sea. I guess he's saying, you know, like, fight someone worth your caliber. Oh, fish versus cat. That's kind of clever. I don't think anyone predicted Jinbei versus Who's Who. At least not that I've seen. But fish versus cat, kind of a cool. I'd prefer my more prestigious title. helmsman of the Straw Hat crew. Oh, I love you, Jinbei. You really are Sea Dad. That reminds me of that moment in Whole Cake Island where, he's talking to Big Mom and is officially leaving her crew, and basically says, a man who wishes to join the crew of the future Pirate King could not cower at a mere Yonko. And that was just one of his greatest moments. So it really just goes to show the level of faith he has in Luffy. Luffy is going to be the Pirate King. He has no doubts. So Tobiropo, Shichibukai, Yonko, our titles don't matter anymore. Only his relation to the future Pirate King. Oh, pardon me. I only thought of that because I saw you once when you were a warlord, but that doesn't matter. Could that be? Who's who be? Nothing, no one off the top of my head. Maybe if I see your face, I'll recognize you. Heh. Too bad you'll never see it. I guess that's kind of like the come at me moment. Jinbei basically saying, I'm going to defeat you and take your mask so I can see who you are. And who's who being like, nah. And it looks like he's about to pounce. And I think that could be cool. Anyone who's seen Tarzan, all the scenes of Tarzan fighting that jaguar freaked me out as a kid. But I rewatched it recently, and they really are kind of stunning and horrifying. But really good bits of action animation. Outside the Onigashima tomb. Ah, 2 dinosaurs. Oh, page 1 in Ulti. I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in Ulti's full patchy form. I think she looks really cool as a hybrid, and I like her in her human form, but I'm a little disappointed. Maybe Oda will refine it a little bit. Their enemies, Tobiropo. Where did they go? And page 1 in Ulti's Devil Fruits are being re-announced, though I think we definitely got confirmation on those earlier, so it's just re-emphasizing the ancient types. I'll split that woman's skull in 2. So Ulti's definitely not going to let the Nami thing go. So Ulti in page 1 versus Usopp and Nami round 2. Maybe with help of Tama. Her name escaped me for a moment there. Oh, the baboon's beaten. Oh, really, really badly too. Poor baboon. That does make me wonder, though. Could Tama... I had this theory back with when Tama first arrived about how they could get the gifters on their side. Basically, it would be like Nami stunned them with their lightning. Tama used her Chibidango balls, handed them to Usopp, who shot them into the gifter's mouth, so Tama could then control them. But I don't think that works on regular Zoans. Okay, storeroom inside the dome. Huff huff. No one will come in here. And so I guess it's just like a big closet where Kaido throws stuff. What's this thing? Oh man, you're still so beat up. Statue of a dragon. Oh, in the past it was placed at the entrance of the entrance to the island, but my friend destroyed it. So they discarded the statue here. Friend, yes. Oh! A man who came here years ago to kill my father. And then you have Ace's silhouette. Next chapter hits December 20th. Wow, that chapter went really quickly. I think it was so many full page spreads. I really like the paneling of this chapter. Oda does this thing where it's like the same image but broken up into different panels. And it's kind of a break for the eyes to rest. But it does look like Shinobu's being treated. Just like a lot of broken stuff here. I guess so many pirates, furniture breaks. So you just toss it in the storeroom. The dragon, it's cool. It's almost like it was hit by something superheated. And that does make sense if it was Ace. Then obviously it was. Because between his raw strength and his firepower, he could probably do that. Why does this dragon statue look so familiar? Okay, I'm gonna look over my notes, poke around the internet for a couple of minutes, and gather some thoughts. Okay, so I've had a couple of minutes to look at things. I poked around some theories on the internet and did some more Googling and looked inside my own mind to see what I had. First things first, with Sanji, it occurred to me that spiders have exoskeletons. That's why when you step on a big one, you hear that crunch. And I remembered that part of the modifications Judge did on his children, so Sanji's brothers, or not brothers as I kind of call them, is give them kind of like an exoskeleton that makes them so tough. And that's why when Sanji beat up Yonji, he had like that big dent in his head that they basically had to hammer back into place. But it was mentioned that Sanji's exoskeleton never developed. So I don't know if it will develop during this fight, because it would almost be redundant because Sanji already has the raid suit, or will the raid suit kind of be sort of his metaphorical exoskeleton here, because it's mentioned it helps with durability. And one of Sanji's weaknesses has always been his durability. Not that he can't take a punch, because obviously he can, but that was always one thing that he struggled with, is getting hit hard. Like when he was fighting Virgo, it's we see part of like Sanji's shin crack at Virgo's blows. So maybe Sanji will be forced back into his raid suit, and since it can turn invisible, he could like sneak away. So that's one possibility. Also, because you have to like strip to dress into your raid suit, it would be funny if he did that in front of all these ladies and they like start yelling at him or start cheering him on. That could be hysterical. Oda has been pretty heavy-handed with like the sex jokes in Wano. The fact that a fairly main character was basically a high-class prostitute was shockingly blunt. So that's one thing to think about. Another is that, like I said, Robin could go up against Black Maria, because back in Enies Lobby, when Sanji was eventually started off against Khalifa, Nami had to come in and swap him out because he couldn't fight a woman. And, you know, like swatting spiders, or like stepping on spiders, maybe that is what Robin will eventually do. So those are things to consider. I don't know why a lot of people think it would be character development for Sanji to hit a woman. I don't think Oda sees it that way. And we know Sanji gets that chivalry from Zeph, and he holds the lessons Zeph taught him so highly that it would destroy him to have to break those. To be fair, I don't think Zeph necessarily meant for Sanji to take those lessons so seriously. I presume Zeph's lessons of not kicking women basically meant don't abuse women, which is a good lesson, obviously. But I don't think he meant it as don't fight for your life against women. But so I don't think it would count as character development. Plus, you can almost see the news titles. Popular manga encourages violence against women, if that becomes the case. Because you just know someone out there would say that. So moving on. I was reading about some speculations about whose true identity, and none of them have really sticked with me. I saw it possibly mentioned that it could be Deuce, which is Mass Deuce, which if you read the Ace novels was Ace's first mate. He wore a mask, which I guess does fit with who's who. And the word Deuce, he chose it because it matched with Ace, but it also does have a vague card theme as well. So that could play a part of it. Again, I don't think it partially because Deuce is shown to have blue hair, whereas Who's Who has like pink hair, which does also make me wonder if when we eventually see his Sabretooth form animated, would that be pink? I've also heard it floated that it may be Jin from the Bratti arc, but again, I don't see that as the case, because if so, I think he would be Sanji's opponent, not Jinbei's, because obviously Jin has the most history with Sanji. A lot of us thought that Jin would show back up in Whole Cake Island arc. I wonder if it's like he's like the one character Oda forgot. But then again, Sanji did tell Jin that he basically never wanted to see him again, or to like never come back or show up again. So maybe he took that a little too literally. The one kind of theory I like is that maybe Who's Who is a former Marine, which would explain why Jinbei knew him, why he knew Jinbei from Jinbei's time in the Warlords. But I don't know. It would be weird if it's a chance where like Jinbei knows this guy, but the audience doesn't, because then there would be no revelation for the audience too. So this has to, 9 out of 10, this is someone we, the audience, know, as well as Jinbei, but maybe it was someone in Impel Down, but again, I don't know. I can't, none of the theories stick with me. So now the most interesting part of the chapter for me was definitely Yamato mentioning Ace once more. And I also noticed that, that this is the second time a chapter about has ended with Yamato talking about Ace. The first one was 984, the chapter, like the big Yamato reveal chapter. And in that one, her knowing Ace, or Yamato knowing Ace, was basically the final reveal. It is what the chapter ended on, her Yamato saying, "You remind me of Ace," was what the chapter ended on, even more so than the reveal that Yamato was biologically a female. It was that Yamato knew Ace. So now in this chapter, it ends on not just Yamato talking about Ace, but also this kind of silhouette of Ace. And the way that last panel is kind of framed, with like the way the side of it is kind of like blurring out almost, that indicates to me that we might be moving into a brief flashback. Like maybe next chapter will open with like a very short one, not the full flashback. We might see the full flashback later on. We probably will, actually, but like maybe this could be Yamato recounting or remembering just the scene of it, at the very least, Ace hitting that statue. It also occurred to me that Yamato does not mention Ace by name, and that does make sense because she's talking to Momo, who does not know Ace. So it would make no sense for Yamato to say, Ace broke the statue, or the statue was put in here ever since Ace broke it, because that would mean nothing to Momo. But it also could, it would be a good way to kind of move into the flashback. So like Momo would say, your friend, he came here to kill your father? What? Who was this guy? And that would prompt Yamato to like explain more, and then the context of the eventual longer flashback would be Yamato basically explaining it to Momo. This is also, I just really like Yamato's face when they mention Ace. It's a very good expression. It's happy, but also sad. It's wistful, I think. And again, I'm really excited to learn more about their backstory. A lot of people have been theorizing that it could have been romantic. I personally think it could very well be the case. I think it would be interesting because Oda has very slowly been introducing romance into the series, just mostly in backstory or in side characters. And so if he really wants to write like a heartbreakingly tragic tale of star-crossed lovers, basically, this could be a really good setup for one. It also does hit me that Yamato most certainly knows that Ace is dead. Tama didn't, because Wano is an isolationist country, but as the child of a Yonko, Yamato would probably know more about the world going on, especially since Kaido was at one point going to Marineford. So I saw one kind of really cool theory that it was that Kaido's debt to Big Mom involved alter or erase Ace's memory of Wano. I don't think that's the case, but I do like the theory. I just don't think it's viable because Okay, so imagine this setup. Yamato and Ace meet. They scheme to take down Kaido. They fight, they fail, and Ace is imprisoned, and Kaido basically gives, both to twist them as like a punishment, but also like a cruel mercy, he makes Yamato choose. He gives Yamato like a set of options. So like A, Kaido could kill Ace. B, Ace could be forced to become part of the Beast Pirates, but he would probably have to go through some like personality adjustment in Udon prison. And so Ace would be broken basically. Or C, Ace's memory of Wano could be changed. And Kaido could make Yamato choose what happens to Ace, basically. And again, a good scene that could, I don't think this will happen, but it could be a really, if it did, it could just be like a heart-wrenching scene in the flashback of Yamato saying, I don't want any of those options, I don't want to lose my friend, but being the only way Ace could really survive, Yamato chooses to have Ace's memories altered. So he and his crew are allowed to leave Wano. They don't remember anything about Yamato or Wano, what's happening in Wano, or maybe even Tama. And then Ace eventually ends up on Whitebeard's crew. Maybe he mentions he went to Wano at one point. They ask him about it, and all he can say is that it is a nice country where he learned to make hats. And then Ace eventually dies with no regrets because he doesn't remember the promise he made to Tama, or the fact that he couldn't help the people there because he doesn't remember them. It would be really sad, and it would tie up loose ends. I don't think this is the case, but I think it could be a really cool theory. But again, I do think it's more likely that what happened was Yamato convinced Ace to leave the island, and she made him promise. So they made a plan where Ace would leave and then spend the next 4 years getting stronger, gathering a bigger crew, and then in 4 years, at the prophesied time, he would return to help overthrow Kaido and Orochi. I also think Yamato could have made Ace promise not to tell anyone what was going on in Wano, believing that any attempt to overthrow Kaido or Orochi before the prophesied time was both doomed to fail, and may have made everything in Wano worse. Also, not to toot my own horn, but the fact that Ace did come to Onigashima to kill Kaido kind of points to my theory about the Ace-Yamato connection kind of being a historical allusion to the daughter of Kaido Khan, who Kaido is partly based off of Kutalun, being somewhat right, because Kutalun was a female warrior who some chronicles say she married a handsome prisoner who had been taken captive by her father in a failed attempt on Kaido Khan's life. Also, the kind of what we learn Ace did to the statue, it reminds me of in the Ace novels, where when the Spade Pirates are leaving Fishman Island, Ace burns the Whitebeard flag that's flying as kind of like a middle finger and a declaration that he's intending to take out Whitebeard. Speaking of Fishman Island, I realized that the statue in the storeroom, the one that used to be at the front of Onigashima, it reminds me of the golden dragon statue that the Ryugu Palace has. And if I remember correctly, Ryugu means like imperial dragon. I don't know what that means, but it is interesting. All right, so I can't wait to see what the next chapter brings. Can't wait to talk to you all later. Bye.